Today's listening session is a piece by Argentinian composer Alberto Ginastera, and it is his third piano sonata, which I'm quite relieved to find is only about 5 minutes long. And I guess I would have looked at this in my master's because it's the University of Western Ontario Library. I'm trying to think the context. Maybe there was like a survey course I took where we were looking at piano pieces one week, so maybe somebody picked this. I think that's most likely. I had a colleague who was a guitarist, so interesting. So commissioned by the University of Michigan, School of Music, Ann Arbor, Michigan. First performed by Barbara Nissman on the 17th of November 1982 at Alice Tully Hall, Lincoln Center. In contrast to my first two sonatas, which are multi-movement works, the third one is a single movement utilizing a binary form plus coda. The initial tempo indication impetuosamente sets the pace of the entire work. Rhythmic textures based on American Indian and colonial dances of Latin America. We're going to look up Barbara Nissman first, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the composer because this is our first Ginastera episode. So Barbara Nissman, born 1944, is an American pianist. She's especially known for her interpretations of Ginastera and Prokofiev. Her international career was personally launched by Eugene Ormandy, with debuts arranged in all major European capitals. After he heard her perform as a student at U of M, she was a soloist with Ormandy and the Philadelphia Orchestra, and then performed with some of the leading orchestras in Europe. So a lot of probably, if she's done a lot of Prokofiev, probably the Prokofiev concertos. In 1989, she was the first pianist to perform the complete piano sonatas of Prokofiev in a series of 3 recitals. How many pieces are those? There's 10. Wow, okay, cool. So this is a much more interesting bio than I was expecting. I don't want to take up too much time though. So in addition to being the dedicatee of this work, she played his piano concerto number 1 in 1976 in Geneva. This was a like Ginastera at 60 celebration. She also presented the Netherlands premiere of the same concerto, and she hosted a 5-part BBC radio series featuring Ginastera as composer of the week. She performed all 3 of his piano concerti in one evening at the University of Michigan, I guess. This was the first performance in its original form of the second piano concerto, 1972. She has a record label. That's cool. 3 Oranges recordings. So Ginastera was born in 1916 and he died in 1983, just a year after composing this sonata. He's an Argentine composer. I've been saying Argentinian like a doofus. Was born in Buenos Aires, though. He has 3 periods to his music, so objective nationalism, 34 to 48, subjective nationalism, 48 to 58, and then his neo-expressionist period, from 58 till his death, which is when this was composed. The 3 periods vary in their use of traditional Argentine musical elements. Many of his works were inspired by the, I'm going to butcher this, Guachesco tradition. And he has a cantata for soprano and 53 percussion instruments based on pre-Columbian legends. Three operas, two ballets, over 10 orchestra pieces, uh, two piano concerti, even though in the previous article we read three, whatever, violin concerto, two cello concerti, and a harp concerto. But his guitar writing is left off of this list, curiously. I don't know why, other than the sonata for guitar. Pretty significant piano work, and that's about it. Does he have string quartets? He has at least three string quartets. It's a shame we didn't look at any in the series way back when, but there you go. Um, we can look at his list of students. Astor Piazzolla is probably the biggest name. Alcides Lanza. That's not a big name, but I know it because he emigrated to Canada. Or no, he's yeah, yeah. So I'll always spot a Canadian name, and that's all she wrote. So link to the recording in the video description. I'll let you know in 5 minutes what I think of this thing. I think I'm gonna go with the uh, score video that's on George N. Giannopoulos' channel. Nice. Okay. Yeah, so this was super dramatic and really idiomatic for the piano. And obviously, it's very indebted to Stravinsky, um, like a lot of Mexican nationalist composers. I know that um, Ginastera is Argentine, but I think he's borrowing from that tradition a little bit. Um, I'm thinking like Carlos Chavez kind of. But obviously, it's more unique to him. It's like very violent and ferocious and percussive. There's a really percussive use of the piano. So I think yeah, it's a really standout piece. Maybe it won't stand out so much when we hear more of his stuff later in the series, but I don't think we've heard anything like this yet in the piano series. There's a couple sections that are marked like a guitar. Yeah, in the second section. Come Chitara un poco lirico. It's really interesting here. The pianist completely shifted gears tempo-wise and took the dynamics down um, to like the dynamic level of a guitar. Even though I think this whole thing is fortissimo. So I thought that was an interesting choice on the performer's part. You can see that it's kind of imitating like this flamenco guitar kind of strumming and rolled chords. Really cool. And then towards the end, you get another Come Chitara moment with these rolled chords that are like very much. Um, Actually, now that I'm looking at it, they're like pretty far outside of the range of a normal guitar. They're lower, but the spacing of the chords is somewhat like a guitar, you know. Um, so that was kind of cool. Lots of octaves. I mean, pianists love octaves, and I think this is a great exercise in that. Barbara's a lucky gal, having something like this to uh, be the namesake of. If it's your first time, hopefully this was a good introduction to Ginastera's music. Um, I know it, I mean, it probably has you wanting more, right? Because it's so out there and short. But we have a couple other pieces of him to get to. Okay, tomorrow actually we're gonna have our first Brian Ferneyhough piece in on the channel, Lemma Icon Epigram for piano.